Well, first off, let me say good morning. I'm Debbie Tall. I'm with Dignity Memorial, and I get to be the one to welcome everybody today on behalf of the Wellness Center for Older Adults, for the Area Agency on Aging, and for the City of Plano. This is our second monthly webinar series for seniors and caregivers, and we're excited to have you join us and hope that this kind of becomes a regular thing for you each month. Today, we get to welcome Cutis Functional Health. With us is Brina, and I'm only doing first names because if you saw her last name, well, you do see her last name there. That's a hard one to pronounce, so Brina, you get to do that one. She works within the mental health area. Anna, who is here, and she is a nutritionist. And then we have Dr. Brittany Smith, who's a chiropractor. Their topic is a really important one today, especially in light of what's going on with COVID and everything else. But it's self-care as it relates to our whole body health. We hope that when you walk away from here today, you've got some really practical tips and tools that'll help you through this time frame. And we're also going to be able to give you some resources, their contact information, if you'd like to follow up with them after the call is over. So with that, Brina, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brina Talamantes, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist associate at Cutis Functional Health. I office out of our North Dallas office. We have 8 locations throughout the DFW area, and I always attempt to remember all of them. But for the ones off the top of my head, we have North Dallas, Sherman, Southlake, Grapevine, Midlothian, Mansfield, Arlington, and I know I forgot one, but we are all around the DFW area. With me today, I do have Dr. Brittany Smith, and she is one of our chiropractors at our North Dallas location as well. And then hopefully joining us will be Anna Gorgeous, and she's our registered dietitian for all of our offices. We're really excited to be here with you today. Our office, we are a whole wellness center. At Cutis, we try to optimize the well-being of our patients. We take a holistic, client-centered, results-driven approach to addressing the underlying causes of health issues. So your stomach aches you may be experiencing, your back aches you may be experiencing, you may think to call our chiropractors first. And then our chiropractors, if we can't see results, they're going to walk you down to one of our therapists, and we're going to see what else is lying behind this, because it could be anxiety, it could be stress, it could be depression. All of these things are interrelated, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We work together in collaboration to help our patients' physical, mental, and emotional needs by integrating our chiropractic care, mental health services, and functional nutrition to create a whole, well self for our patients. If you have any questions, like Deborah said throughout the webinar, enter them into the chat and we'll answer them at the end. So we're here to help you start your journey to self-care by using whole body health. We know that recently we've all kind of been in isolation, we've been social distancing from people, and that takes a toll on our whole health. It's not just us not being as physical, especially because it's about, 112 degrees outside too, so that's not helping the situation. But we haven't been taking care of our physical needs as much, and we've been away from people, and so we have felt isolated, lonely, depressed, lethargic, angry, and confused, especially with all the mixed messages we are getting. So we have spent a lot of time sitting and taking more trips to the pantry and the fridge for comfort food and snacks. I know that's something that's been going on in our house this week. So today we're here to kind of help you find some new ideas in how to help your self-care routine while we are still in this time of distancing from each other and uncertainty. So first off, we have Anna Gorgeous with us, and she's our registered dietitian, and she is going to help us with some nutrition tips.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Anna Gorgeous, as she said, and I am a registered dietitian with Cutis. I really help people to get to the root cause of their disease and help them to overcome that health disparity through natural remedies, through our diet, through different lifestyle techniques. and of course, nutrition and stress. So today I would like to touch on some strategies that we would use to help us keep our immune system at peak, and to also help with your longevity, really creating a good, healthy, strong system. And one of my most favorite acronyms of all is JERF. So basically, just eat real food. It sounds simple, but with life as it is, and
I'm
it's just
watching
hectic. Yeah, it's just like we're.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Sorry. So we're just kind of reaching for what we can, and that's completely understandable in those situations, when we need to. But overall, if we can really try to avoid a lot of processed foods, limiting those starches and sugars, then that's really going to be beneficial, because those are things that really fuel inflammation, for one, and they also feed more of the bad bacteria in the gut. And the harm in that is those less beneficial bacteria then basically overcome the good bacteria, and that affects mood. 92% of our serotonin is made in our gut. So, the whole gut-brain connection is a really true thing. And then in regards to inflammation is the root cause to majority of our diseases, between inflammation and dysbiosis, which is, like I said, that imbalance of the gut bacteria. So if your body is in a state of inflammation, it's fight or flight, and it has a more difficult time to really protect itself and to actually function the way that it should be functioning. Even when we think about COVID, it's having that good immune system that's going to just fight off those invaders, attack the viruses and bacteria. So that leads into the second point, which is antioxidants. Now, your body can take on a lot of what we call oxidative stress. So these are things in the environment, like pollution and in our water, and plastic bottles, our cell phones, it's electromagnetic frequencies, but these antioxidants help to neutralize that. And antioxidants come from our vegetables, our fruits. Think color. Anything that has lots of color, your purples, reds, greens, blue, yellow, orange. You want that all in the diet, a good variety. And what we're really striving for is about 5 to 7 servings of our vegetables and fruits a day. And I tend to like to encourage, twice as many vegetables as fruit, because again, you're reducing a lot of the extra sugars, but you're still getting that nutrient dense food that's going to fuel your cells. It's going to give your body energy, and it's going to keep it more on that anti-aging level. The next thing is, keeping up with the nutrients and getting the right ones in, especially your vitamin D. Vitamin D is crucial for your mood, it's for your bones, it's for your hormones, it's for your immunity. People who so your goal is usually between 60 and 80 on your blood work. People who fell at a 50 actually increased their cancer risk starting at 72%, and it went up from there. So that's how crucial that one is. But other really good things like vitamin C, again, that's for your immune system. It's to make collagen. So, our joints and our ligaments start to break down. We need that vitamin C to create more of that. A good quality multivitamin, something that has some good methyl B vitamins, your body is getting the right forms. Zinc is another really good one that's going to help with your immunity, again, hormones, and brain. And then magnesium. Most everyone is deficient in magnesium. And magnesium is super important because it's helping to keep calcium where it needs to be. So when you get that tightness in your muscles, it's not always potassium, sometimes it's magnesium. So magnesium tells that calcium, no, go back into the bone where you're supposed to be, or wherever else in the body that it needs to be. And it helps to relax that muscle. But it's also, you know, good for your brain and for your heart, blood sugars, and then fish oil, which is another one of your anti-inflammatory fats. It's your omega-3 fatty acid. So wild fish, if you can get that in the diet, and if not, you know, maybe supplement. The next point would be a physical activity. So think about how activity helps to increase your blood flow, right? And blood flow is important for distributing those nutrients throughout the body. It, you know, helps to keep you nice and limber, and just keeps that body functioning. And, you know, as they say, you know, you don't, well, my new thing is, if you don't move it, you'll lose it. So move it or lose it. And then sleep. So sleep is your prime time for your body to actually repair and recuperate. And this is when your immune system is kind of rebuilding itself. This is also when your fat burn kicks up. So you're actually burning more calories while you're sleeping, because all of this activity that your body is doing without you even knowing it, in that repair side. The next point would be water. Water. Water is super important, because again, that's transporting nutrients, but it is also important, you know, keeping you from getting those tight muscles again. You can also get headaches from being dehydrated. But water is that source of also detoxification. It's helping to flush, you know, the things, the impurities that we get in, back out. And then, and so that would involve like limiting some of the coffee and alcohol if possible. And then lastly is, you know, maintaining a healthy weight. And when I say weight, I don't want to necessarily reference a body, like the number on the scale compared to a BMI, because to me, a BMI is really not a valid marker of showing your overall health. Really what we want to look at is what your body composition is, you know, having more lean tissue, that muscle tissue, rather than adipose tissue, because that is what's going to cause more harm and more pressure and more stress on our organs and make them work harder. Where, you know, if you have good muscle, your metabolism is going to be up, and you're going to have more strength and ability. So keep up, you know, as best you can with maintaining that good weight. So I welcome any questions at the end, and I will pass it on.
Hi, I'm Brittany, or Dr. Smith. I'm a chiropractor, and I'm going to go off of what Anna said. So the ways that I recommend people to get their vitamin D and also stay active is to try to get, since it's Texas and it's hot, try to get up early and go for like a walk, or, you know, go kayaking, or do something to get active in the morning. And by doing that in the morning, you're spiking your cortisol levels. So cortisol is inversely related with melatonin. So if you spike your cortisol levels in the morning, as they gradually go down towards the evening, then the melatonin will spike and you'll sleep better also. So all the things that Anna said to stay healthy, ways to do that. And then drinking water, I always recommend having 1 cup per water and always filling it, because then it's going to cause you to get up more often, and you're going to have to go to the bathroom. So, because we all like to watch Netflix and, you know, end up sitting for hours, you know, and Netflix asks, are you still watching? Yes, we are. So ways to make sure that you're getting up, trying to get up every 30 minutes I recommend is drinking water. So, and then if we can go to the next slide for me. So big thing that I have that I try to teach all of my patients is diaphragmatic breathing. So we're sitting all the time, so we're not using our diaphragm. And by not using your diaphragm, then that's your part of your core. So if that's not working properly, then you're putting yourself at risk to get all kinds of other injuries, because your core needs to be strong, or else with everything you do, or else you'll end up getting a shoulder issue, or, you know, injuring a hip or a knee or something. So you need to make sure that your core is strong. So this is a very good way to also, you can do it at night when you're laying down, because it's kind of like meditation. It's really difficult at first because you're not used to it. So you put one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach. And so then you want to take the breath in, and you want to try to make your stomach hand move first and then your chest hand. And then you're going to let it out and try to have your stomach go down and then your chest go down. So it's, at first it's really difficult because you're not used to it, but I recommend trying to practice, and it's great to do, like I said, in the evening or whenever you're stressed out, you know, just take a moment, try to do the breathing. And then the next slide, if we can. So also with us sitting, and if you're working from home, you know, you're not used to having a good desk, you end up having a lot of tension in the neck and the upper back because you're hunched forward, you're like this. So a good way to kind of help relax those muscles is to take a hand towel, fold it long ways, roll it up, and then put it underneath your neck like she has in the picture. And then you'll lay there for just 5 minutes, just relaxing, you know, lay on the ground or on your bed, but the bed's kind of soft, so might have to get a bigger towel. But you want to have that right in the middle of your neck, because that's going to help put the curve you're supposed to have back in your neck, which is going to help relax those muscles. And then the next one. So this is also because if you're sitting all day, you end up kind of slouching, hence you're not using your diaphragm. So this is a good way to kind of do the opposite of what your slouching is doing, and it kind of helps open up your chest and relaxes your muscles. So it's, you don't want it to hurt, so you can do it on the bed if you want. And then wall angels, these are great to help with your posture. So they're very difficult if you don't have good posture, but you want everything to be touching the wall. So you can bring your feet out a little bit, and you want your entire back to be touching the wall. You don't want your back to end up arching to try to get your shoulders and your elbows and your wrists touching the wall. So you just want to try to do it, get there as much as best as you can, and then bring your arms up and back down. Do that every day, and that's going to help with your posture also. And then the next one. So these are just some stretches for all of us having such a sedentary lifestyle. So the corner stretch, you can also do it on a door frame. So your forearms are going to be against the wall, and you're just going to lean forward, and that's going to stretch the pecs. And then stretching for your neck, just kind of grabbing your head and pulling a little bit. Not hard, not wanting it to be painful, but just kind of to relieve the muscle tension and the traps in the neck. And then the next slide. And then so for hamstrings, because we all have tight hamstrings because we're not really using them. The way you do this is you can sit at the end of a chair, and then you're going to put your legs straight out that you're going to be stretching, and you're going to point your chest towards that foot, and then you're going to keep your back straight, hinge at your hips, and lean forward, and you'll feel a really nice stretch in the hamstring. And the next one, okay, and then the Piriformis Stretch, so the figure 4. So as you see, it's the same way. You're going to keep your back straight, and you're going to hinge at the hips and lean forward. And you'll feel it in the front of the hip and in the back of the hip. And then the psoas stretch is a big one because we're sitting all the time. So your psoas is your primary hip flexor. So that's always contracted because we're sitting. So just stretch that out. You're going to kneel kind of in lunge position, but your foot's going to be a little bit further out because you don't want your knee to go over your toes. I recommend doing this like in between the couch and the coffee table so you can push up and get back up. And then you can also put like a pillow underneath the knee. And then these are just some core exercises. So I believe that they're going to be sending y'all this PowerPoint. So these are very good just to get the core strong, just easy ones. You can do it on an elevated surface. So the bird dog and the dead bugs are pretty much the same, but they're just different ways to do it. So the dead bug is the easier way to make sure that you're doing it properly. And then glute bridges are gonna help with your, I call it guts and butts. So that's what you're working. So those are the best exercises to keep that core strong. And then, and then by staying at, oh, there we go. I was like, I thought there was more. Okay. So planks are also very good for pretty much the whole body, but also the core. So like I said, keeping your core strong is going to make it to where you don't get injuries anywhere else either. So planks, if you start to get shaky, then stop, you know, and work your way up to try to get to 30 seconds at a time. And then, so Superman, the prone alternate arm and legs are kind of like Superman. So you're laying on your stomach, and then you're going to lift your arm up, like your arm back, and your opposite leg up. And then you're going to do it the other way. So that creates strength in the back, which is also part of the core. And then these other exercises are exercises you can do to strengthen the core and the back, so to counteract us hunching over while we're sitting all day. Is there another one? No, I don't think so. Okay, so okay, sorry, restart. So making sure that you stay active. So trying to find something that you like to do in the morning, or, you know, anything. In Texas, I know it's really hot, but if you have like a community pool or something, you want to go swim laps, that's great. So just get yourself moving in the morning, and that's going to help your mental state throughout the rest of the day also, because it's going to make you more productive and get your mind going by getting your body going. And so I'll pass it on to Brenna now.
All right, so I'm Brenna Talmantes, and I specifically work in our North Dallas office. I specialize in working with kids and teens and their families, particularly with those who have lost loved ones or experiencing non-traditional grief as well, such as divorce, a move, any sort of life transition, which is what all of us are doing right now. So all of us, we all grieve every day, even though we don't realize it, even if a loved one hasn't died. But right now we're grieving the loss of our routine. I know that I am grieving the loss of not seeing my friends on a weekly, daily basis, because we're all trying to stay at home. So that's what I particularly work with in our office, as well as anxiety, depression, ADHD with kids and teens as well. So we've talked about putting good nutrients in food in our bodies for good gut health. And we've talked about how to keep our bodies moving for physical health. And now onto our emotional and mental health. So first, to take care of our gut and our physical health is to take care of our emotional health. Some of the things that Anna and Brittany were talking about are also things that I recommend to the people that come into my office. I recommend for them to check out their vitamin D levels, their magnesium levels, getting those blood tests done just to see, like, okay, is your anxiety because your serotonin in your gut is all messed up? I know that's something I experience a lot. Are you not getting enough sunshine? And so that's giving you some depressive symptoms. Getting physical is something I always recommend to my clients, because upping our cortisol levels just helps us. Those endorphins don't suck. So having all of that and the blood flow from the physical activity all contributes to good and well mental health. So I too take time to look at my clients' gut health, look at their physical health, and we make changes with those things as well, along with some mental health coping skills. So as we're working on self-care, it's important for us to have some of these coping skills in our back pocket for when we need them. Just like you can't teach a child to swim when they're drowning, we can't do these coping skills if we already don't know how to do them. If we don't know how to take a proper, deep diaphragmatic breath, we aren't going to know how to do that if we're experiencing anxiety or panic attack. So all of these things are things to practice when we're feeling well and when we're feeling good for those days that we aren't feeling great. I know that I've had to readjust my coping skills during all of this time because I haven't been seeing people I normally see. It's 112 degrees outside, and I went and took a walk at 9 p.m. last night when the sun went down, and that was the first time all week I had the willpower, I think, to walk into the heat. So we've all kind of had this adjustment of coping skills. I'm used to having a commute after I see clients, so I can kind of wind down on my way home, process. I have a specific playlist I listen to. So now I'm trying to adjust these coping skills. So we have some ideas for you. I always recommend, number one skill we always have with us day in, day out, is taking 3 deep breaths. That's something we have everywhere with us. So taking a deep breath in, holding it for 4 counts, and then exhaling out for 4 counts, and then holding again. If you're working with kids or with someone that just needs a visualization, visualizing a square. So breathing in, holding it, breathing out, holding it. You can do that with a star. You can do that with a heart. You can do that with a house. If you need to draw it and like have a physical representation of it, whatever works for you. When we take 3 deep breaths, it activates the vagus nerve in our body, and our vagus nerve then sends a message to our brain that says we are safe. This in turn lowers our heart rate. So when we're able to recognize, okay, we are safe, we are fine, we are not running away from a bear, like we're okay, those 3 deep breaths starts to send messages to our body to kind of actually tell us that. I talk about a lot my rational brain and my irrational brain. So my rational brain knows that I am safe in this situation. My irrational brain is like, this is new and I don't know what's going on and I don't know what to expect. Therefore, that takes over. Those 3 deep breaths are very powerful. I always talk about like, this is your brain. So if you make a fist, this part right here is the frontal lobe. If you've seen Inside Out, this is where that control panel is. When our lid is flipped, when we're anxious, when we're angry, when we're not in control of the situation, our lid is flipped, our amygdala is then exposed. Our amygdala takes over our hippocampus, and our amygdala is where we feel all of our feelings. And so these 3 deep breaths kind of gets our frontal lobe back in control. The next one I like to recommend is journaling. And journaling doesn't have to be a 30-minute long drawn out process. Journaling can be a daily activity. That the one that works for me, because I currently have 3 jobs, I write a sentence a day. How was my day? Checking in with myself, going, what experience stood out most to me today? What feeling did I feel most today? 1 sentence bullet journal. You can do it for 5 minutes and you can just write out your day. You can write how you're feeling in that moment. I know that some people like to write 3 positive things of their day, especially right now when everything seems so uncertain, so negative. Taking the time to go, you know what, I'm safe. I had a really good dinner today and I got to FaceTime with my friend. 3 good things that happen that changes our perspective. Journaling allows us to connect both sides of our brain. So we have the logic and reasoning side of our brain and we have our emotional side of our brain. When we're doing things like journaling or drawing or expressing in any sort of art form, it connects both sides of our brain and we're allowed to fully process what is going on. You can also use this time to take notice to some triggers and tough moments of your day. Because if we're able to identify triggers and things that upset us, we can either A, avoid them if it's something that just doesn't need to be in your life anymore, or B, adjust them. Like, okay, so I still have to go to work. I still have to work. Okay, so how am I going to adjust this to make it better? I had a couple weeks recently that I was trying to work off my couch with my coffee table. It wasn't going well, so therefore nothing got done. So this week I was like, you know, We're going to clean off the counter because I still wanted to be in the same room with my husband because I have a desk in our bedroom, which I use for like clients and things. But when I'm not working on that, I still want to be in the same room with him. So I cleaned off the counter this week, so much more productive. So noticing those things that aren't working, that's what you're taking time to do in this time. Finding time to laugh, watching a funny TV show in 30-minute episodes so you can go get your water or go to the bathroom because Dr. Smith says you need to get up and move. So finding time to laugh, taking time to read something funny, taking time to turn off the news, taking time to just laugh and be. Finding those ways to stay connected with people, whether it's meeting up at the park with your lawn chairs spaced out. I know I've done a couple car dates with my friends that we pop our trunks because we all have SUVs, and so we pop our trunks and kind of chill out in our trunks while we eat or whatever, just be there. There's Zoom, there's FaceTime. You can write letters, like let's go old school, like writing letters to people. I keep walking to my mailbox expecting fun things and all I get is bills, and I'm like, I don't know what's changing about this situation, but I'm expecting letters. So thinking outside the box and being connected with people. Exercise, 30 minutes, a couple times a week. We love daily. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So at least 3 to 4 to 5 times a week helps us elevate our endorphins, gets our cortisol levels where they need to be, and that also leads to better sleep. And sleep is when our brain rests or processes. Sometimes you might have fun dreams if you exercise too. You can also do things like tapping. So this is something physical that if you're overwhelmed, if you're just feeling like you need to reconnect with your body, giving yourself a hug and then alternating tapping your shoulders. That brings you kind of back to earth a little bit. Avoid self-medicating. Put good nutrients in your body, put water in your body, less booze. I always cry a little bit when people say less coffee. That's what I survive on. But finding those good things that are avoiding just being numb in a situation. We want to feel our feels and eat our meals. Another great thing, I love setting goals. Setting goals gives us purpose. Setting goals helps us build a schedule, which is the next point. So I like SMART goals. These are specific, measurable, achievable, reachable, and timely goals. So for me, before it became 112 degrees outside, I wanted to run a mile within 12 minutes by a month from now. And that was something reasonable for me because although I don't like running, I am just a physically active person. So I'm like, okay, if I really tried, I could reasonably do this. If I really put in the effort, I could reasonably do this. And this is how I'm going to do this. So finding a new hobby, finding something like cleaning your house, setting a goal. I expect the living room to be clean by, what's today, Thursday, by Sunday. And here's how I'm going to do that. SMART, reachable goals. This helps you keep a schedule and structure to your day. I'm not saying you have to say from 8 to 8:30, I'm doing this. From 8:30 to 9, I'm doing this. No, have some expectations. By 10 a.m., I'm going to be up, showered, have my coffee. Sorry, Anna. And have some water too, okay? And then I'm going to clean one thing. I'm going to empty the dishwasher or put away dishwasher or fold some laundry. I'm going to do all that by 10 a.m. So it kind of pushes you to get up, to get dressed, to shower, to do some things by 10 a.m. Taking time to treat yourself. There's definitely a lot of ice cream. Again, sorry, Anna. There's a lot of ice cream in my freezer because that's how I cope. Sometimes I try to do it in moderate, reasonable amounts, and I don't eat the whole, gallon at a time. But finding different ways to treat yourself. If it's giving yourself an extra show, if it's saying, you know what, I've really been working hard at this exercise routine and I'm going to go get a new pair of shorts. Whatever, just treating yourself in little small ways like that. Taking time to reframe our thoughts. So if you're working from home, it's not, I have to deal with blank all day. It's, now I have the opportunity to fix a better lunch. So I know my lunches have been better from working from home, mostly because I'm actually eating them and I have time to. But reframing those thoughts of, I have to be home all day now, but I've actually, our positive in our family is I've actually gotten to see my husband, which has been really fun. So finding ways to reframe those thoughts. And then positive self-talk, not only does it help our mental health by lowering rates of depression and distress, but it also does in return help our immune system and then improves our coping skills. If we're able to talk more positively to our internal selves, our gut health is better, our physical health is better because we're not physically holding on to that pain. So positive self-talk, really awesome. And the next slide's going to go a little bit deeper into what these are. So with positive thoughts, there are studies that have shown us that it increases our lifespan, lowers rates of depression and distress, builds us a stronger immune system, better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health. Like, who knew that thinking more positively leads to better cardiovascular health? Who knew? And then better coping skills to help us during times of hardships and stress. So if you're sending people back to school and we're still unsure as to what that's going to look like, having these coping skills in your back pocket for when that happens will really help. Negative thoughts in return, they automatically assume setbacks are permanent, pervasive, and we're going to fail. People who experience more negative thoughts than positive thoughts are 8 times more likely to be depressed than those who practice positive thoughts. And I'm not saying that every thought that comes in your brain has to be positive. Just try to have a couple more of them. They perform worse at school and work, have rockier interpersonal relationships, and right now that is one of the most important things, and then a shorter life expectancy, which we don't want for anybody. So how do these all, and I'm going to ask Dr. Smith and Anna to come back on with me, how do these all connect? How do these all work? So we've talked about how cortisol is affected by deep breathing, being mindful and aware of our stress and triggers. Magnesium, I think all 3 of us talked about. So all of these things are all interconnected, which is why we really like how our model of our offices work. I know that when I have worked with chiropractors with patients who have experienced anxiety symptoms, if they go get adjusted and get that blood flow going to their brain and then walk into my office, they are able to exponentially process and learn more about themselves than some people that I work with that don't experience those adjustments.
And then for my end, there's sometimes that I have patients that they're coming with the same issue all the time and it's not getting any better. Mm-hmm. And I've found if they go to therapy, it's because they're holding on to something. So it ends up being a physical issue because of their mental issue. So by getting the therapy and then getting adjustments and making sure that your gut is healthy, because I can't get you better if your body is just inflammation. Mm-hmm. So your gut, your brain, your physical health, all of it's all together. It's all one thing. So.
Yeah. And then, so if your adrenals are being attacked with that stress and that cortisol is being sent off, that's also affecting thyroid, so that's affecting your metabolism. It's also creating that abdominal weight. And that's also impacting the balance of the microbiome. It's just like your whole body, it's connected. Everything is working and orchestrating together. So it's really important, with stress management. There's also really good herbs out there that can help to be that little pillow for the adrenals when they're going through these times of higher stress, and can kind of get you through there without causing so much damage, that then perpetuates into something else. But yeah, that correlates with the sleep and everything, and so you can kind of see how all of these things tie in together. It's such an incredible system that we have, really do go hand in hand with one another, taking care of the whole system.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we do have some self-care categories. We're going to skip down a couple because I think we've already talked about, there we go. So having having a color coded system of your self-care categories, that you're hitting some physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, and environmental categories throughout your week. Getting physical, getting spiritual in whatever way that looks for you, meeting your emotional needs, taking time to call that friend or just to journal or just feel what you need to feel, taking care of your mental health, and then getting outside, being environmental, doing things that are good outside because the air outside's really good for us. So trying to implement some new self-care strategies that fit into these categories. We're not saying try 30 new things at once. We're saying pick a couple things that we've talked about, or maybe something that one of us has brought up has made you think of another type of strategy that we didn't talk about. I had someone this week just say, I just like to stare off into space for a little bit. I'm like, okay, if that works for you and that helps you calm down, whatever works. So we're asking you to just think about a couple different ones that you can try. Obviously, we're going to all three recommend exercise, more water, and some good food. But maybe a couple things beyond that. Because self-care is important. Self-care is how we give to others. If our cup is empty, we can't pour into other people. So self-care needs to be a part of that schedule and structure I talked about. It's important. It needs to be in your agenda. If you're a color-coded agenda person like me, I have an actual color for self-care. So it is important, finding the time, making sure that you're doing that a couple times a week. One thing I've also been encouraging is like, connect with at least one friend one time a week, and it has to go in your agenda in pen. Also very important right now. So any self-care leads to stress reduction, which is the next slide. And you can kind of just see on there, eating the right nutrients helps with gut health, which leads to less stress. Light to moderate exercise helps with our cortisol levels, which leads to better sleep, which reduces stress. Deep breaths and mindful awareness, and going and getting adjusted, going and meeting with Anna, going and seeing a mental health therapist, all can lead to less stress. So this is how our model truly works. So we're gonna get to questions in a second. Anything the two of y'all wanted to bring up before we go to questions?
No, but Anna, open up the chat.
One thing I would add is, also, eating regularly too, because when you're going those long spans of time without eating, then that's also going to add more stress on your body. And oftentimes you're going to eat things that you wouldn't normally, think through. And so that's really important for that cortisol. And then, like Brenna said, these are SMART goals. So, it's not, I'm going to run a marathon and I'm going to go running 3 miles every single day, or I'm going to meditate 20 minutes every single day. I'm going to meditate 2 minutes a day. I'm going to, incorporate 5 minutes of activity a day. And maybe it's not even running. Maybe it's Zumba in your house, or maybe it's yoga, just stretching. That's an activity. Yeah. It's flow. So these, it's just small things that you can do and build upon those good habits.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of dance parties also.
Yeah.
You put it on your favorite song and just start moving.
Yeah.
Anna, there's a question in the chat, says, what's the best way to get vitamins directly with food, supplements, any preferences?
The best way is going to be through your vegetables and your fruits. Those are going to be the most nutrient dense foods, but having good variety, because every category is going to have a different thing, and, getting enough of your amino acids with good protein and fats are super important. It's not this low fat diet, but it's the right fats, like your omega-3s. And then, where we are deficient, which most of us are going to be deficient in nutrients. Our soils are not, super dense any longer. They're depleted from minerals and everything. So, I would recommend doing some supplements, figuring out which ones you're lacking, and then plug the right ones in. But you do want to make sure that you do your research and they're good quality and they're the form that your body's actually going to absorb and not just go right through you.
Right. Which is important, especially like with your magnesium ones, finding one that's going to actually stay in your body and do the most good.
Yeah.
Ladies, I have a couple of other questions that have come over through another source. One of them says, does insurance cover the services, or how would they find out if it does?
So I answered that in the Q&A, but it depends on your insurance plan. So we have to verify your insurance to see what it does cover. We have some providers that take insurance and different insurances, and then some that are cash only.
Yeah, I'm self-pay, and that's predominantly because, you know, even if you do have insurance coverage, most insurance is only gonna cover you for 3 appointments, and that's really not, you can't really create a solution in 3 appointments. And they don't usually pay very much either, so it's kind of tough for the client to use that resource for their nutrition. I wish it was different, but yeah.
One thing you could do, because a lot of, well, I would say about half of our therapists are all self-pay, but what you can do is if you have a flex spending card or a health savings card, you can put that card on file.
Yeah, that's
so that can be the card that you use, so that you're kind of using your insurance and what you've paid into, but that actually like works for those of us that don't take insurance.
Okay, and then a couple of others that came. When should you really consider going into a chiropractor for an adjustment? So you're doing some of the exercises, you know, when should you consider coming in?
So we have to essentially get you to a maintenance program, but usually maintenance is about twice a month. So that just makes it to where when you're actually doing the activity, everything's moving the way it should, so you're not going to get injured.
Mm-hmm.
So they go hand in hand with exercise.
But even if you're experiencing things like headache, nausea, things like that, those are all things that if you're not wanting to go to the doctor and get a pill for necessarily, that you can go and talk to a chiropractor about. And it was because like last year I was having a lot of stomach pains, and it was in conjunction with the chiropractor at our office, plus my therapist going, okay, what is the actual root cause of this? And it ended up being more mental health than physical health, but getting adjustment at least provided some relief while I was working on the other stuff. So chiropractic care can be good for just overall wellness as well.
Right. Even if it's constipation and, you know, you've done everything that you can with the diet, I mean, it can be stress too, but it can also be part of that whole alignment. Again, connections. So,
your spine is like a highway for communication from your brain to all your organs and your muscles. So by getting every area moving, then the brain is actually able to communicate to all of the organs properly.
And then Brenna, I wanted to just clarify one thing, because in the beginning you mentioned that you work a lot with teens and children, but you also work with seniors and caregivers, exactly?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
You know, as you get older, you start losing people. So
yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think that this time, because we do work in the senior community so frequently, we're seeing that there are lots of impacts that are taking place in all of these areas for those that we serve, or where caregivers are caring for others, and they just don't know where to turn to get this. So I think this has been really, really helpful today. Everybody, it's hard to see the address and the phone number there, but I think somebody answered this. I think it was you, Brittany, that we'll send this PowerPoint out, or make this PowerPoint available.
Can I address that?
Pardon?
Can I address that real quick?
You sure can.
You should all have a link to these slides in PDF format in your instructions that were emailed to you to join today. In the early email, you would have gotten one earlier, and then you would have gotten one at the last minute, an hour before this morning. In the one this morning, it should be at the bottom. In the one you would have gotten prior to that, it will be much closer to the top. There's a link and if you hit that link, it'll download this presentation in PDF format. If you can't get that, just email me and I'll get those slides to you.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Also, I've also put our three email addresses in there in the chat as well. If you're able to see that, then you can write those down as well.
Perfect. Well, listen, we want to thank you guys. This has been great. We appreciate your time and all of your information. I can't tell you how much I've appreciated and learned some things, and I will be seeing you soon. I want to invite everybody to our webinar next month. We have the Synexus team who are going to be coming in as speakers. The Synexus group is actually a collaborative group of professionals who work together to provide simple access to affordable quality services for seniors. So that's straight from the horse's mouth with them, okay? The other thing too, one of the things that they're going to be talking about is that there are all kinds of transitions that take place in our life over the time period. And what's really needed is education, preparation, and planning to make it go well. So they're going to be talking about what happens if nothing's planned or if a parent doesn't want help. What's next? Discussion on the ability to choose between good alternatives within your budget on healthcare decisions honored, and housing options in order to keep your independence. It says get ahead of these challenges by initiating discussion and planning now. So we hope that you'll join us next month for this particular webinar. And again, we thank you so much for being here. Okay, never mind, that was to Vicki. I just saw that, it popped up.
You all did an incredible job today. This was really, really good. Thank you all so much.
And thank you for allowing us to share this with others.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for inviting us. Yes.
Alrighty, y'all take care.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.